Welcome to Storytelling and Beyond, where we bring you tales of resilience, humanity, and the choices that define our lives. If you're new here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt stories that inspire and move. It was one of those evenings when everything seemed to conspire against peace. The rain poured relentlessly, drumming against the windows of Lily's home like a warning she couldn't yet decipher. She sat in the living room, the faint glow of a lamp highlighting her weary face. The warmth of the home she had built with her husband, Mark, felt hollow tonight, as though the walls themselves were holding a secret she wasn't privy to. Mark had been distant for months now. Late nights at work, hurried text messages, and vague answers to her questions were beginning to stack up like a house of cards. Lily had always prided herself on trust, on believing in the vows they had exchanged a decade ago. But tonight, a gut feeling told her she couldn't ignore the growing cracks in their relationship. Her heart raced as she picked up his phone, left carelessly on the kitchen counter. She hesitated, her mind warring between trust and the need to know the truth. Maybe it's nothing, she whispered to herself, clutching the device. But deep down, she knew the answer. The screen lit up with a notification, a message from someone named Andrea. The words weren't explicit, but they carried a familiarity that Lily instantly recognized. Her chest tightened as she scrolled through their exchange, each line a dagger to her heart. There it was, the undeniable proof of Mark's betrayal. Her breath caught, and tears blurred her vision as the truth became an unbearable weight on her chest. Memories of their laughter, their dreams, their promises, all of it felt like a cruel illusion now. She clenched the phone in her trembling hands, the rain outside echoing the storm inside her. When Mark walked in moments later, his smile vanished as he saw the phone in her hands. "Lily," he started, his voice filled with guilt and panic. "I can explain." "No," she interrupted, her voice shaking but resolute. "There's nothing to explain, Mark. You've destroyed everything." She didn't give him a chance to respond. The pain was too raw, too consuming. Without a word, she went upstairs and grabbed a suitcase. Her hands moved with purpose, packing only what she needed. Every item she placed into the suitcase felt like she was letting go of the life she thought they had shared. Mark tried to stop her, pleading, but his words were empty echoes in a house that no longer felt like a home. She pulled on her coat, picked up her suitcase, and stood at the door, looking at him one last time. "I trusted you," she said, her voice heavy with heartbreak. "And you broke me. I don't know what's left of us, but I know I deserve better than this." With that, she stepped out into the rain. The cold drops soaked her instantly, but she didn't care. Each step she took away from that house felt like a step toward reclaiming herself, even though she had no idea what lay ahead. The night was dark, and the road seemed endless, but Lily knew one thing for certain: she couldn't stay where her heart was no longer safe. Lily arrived at Claire's apartment with her suitcase in tow, her hair damp from the relentless rain and her heart heavy with the weight of betrayal. Claire opened the door, her face a mixture of concern and relief. Without a word, she pulled Lily into a tight embrace, letting her friend's quiet sobs speak volumes. The warmth of Claire's hug was the first real comfort Lily had felt in what seemed like an eternity. Inside, the apartment was a haven of coziness. Soft lights illuminated the neatly arranged furniture, and the faint scent of lavender filled the air. Claire had always been the anchor in Lily's life, and tonight, that anchor kept her from drifting into despair. They sat together on the couch, a steaming cup of tea in Lily's hands as she recounted everything: the messages, the confrontation, the rain-soaked walk into the unknown. "You're stronger than you think," Claire said, her voice filled with conviction. "Leaving was the hardest part, but you did it. Now it's about rebuilding, step by step." Lily nodded, though the idea of rebuilding felt daunting. She spent the next few days in a haze, alternating between tears and silence, trying to make sense of a life that no longer felt like her own. But Claire, ever the optimist, refused to let her spiral. "You need a distraction," Claire declared one morning, placing a flyer on the kitchen table. It was an advertisement for a local art class. "Remember how you always wanted to paint? This is your chance." At first, Lily hesitated. She hadn't picked up a paintbrush since college, and the thought of doing something for herself felt foreign. But Claire was persistent, and eventually, Lily found herself standing in a small, sunlit studio surrounded by easels and canvases. The room smelled of paint and possibility. As the class began, Lily felt a spark she hadn't experienced in years. She focused on the strokes of her brush, the colors blending into something uniquely hers. For the first time since her life had fallen apart, she felt a glimmer of peace. It was during one of these sessions that she noticed Ethan. He was seated across the room, his brow furrowed in concentration as he worked on a landscape painting. There was a quiet intensity about him, but it was his kindness that stood out. When her paintbrush rolled off her easel and clattered to the floor, Ethan was the first to pick it up, handing it to her with a small smile. "Beautiful work," he said, gesturing to her canvas. Lily felt a blush creep up her cheeks. "Thanks. It's been a while since I've done this." "Well, you've got talent," he replied, his tone sincere. "Don't stop." Their conversation was brief, but it left an impression. Over the next few weeks, Ethan became a comforting presence in the class. He didn't pry or push, he simply offered encouragement and shared small glimpses of his own story, a man who had also faced heartbreak and was trying to rebuild his life. As the days turned into weeks, Lily began to feel lighter. Each stroke of her brush, each laugh shared with Ethan, each moment of quiet reflection in Claire's apartment, they all contributed to a new sense of self. She wasn't fully healed, but for the first time, she believed that healing was possible. In the safety of her new routine, Lily found more than solace. She found a spark of hope, a reminder that even after the storm, there was still beauty waiting to be discovered. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when Mark showed up unexpectedly at Claire's apartment. Lily had been sipping coffee by the window, watching leaves tumble down the street, when the knock startled her. She opened the door cautiously, and there he was, Mark, looking disheveled and remorseful, holding a bouquet of wilted flowers. "Lily," he began, his voice trembling. "I've been trying to reach you. Please, just hear me out." Her initial instinct was to shut the door, but curiosity and the lingering threads of their shared history made her pause. She stepped aside reluctantly, allowing him into the small living room. Mark stood awkwardly, his eyes scanning the space, taking in the signs of her new life, Claire's cheerful decorations, a half-finished canvas propped against the wall, and the unmistakable absence of him. "I've made the biggest mistake of my life," Mark said, his voice thick with regret. "I don't know what I was thinking. I ruined everything, Lily. Please, come back. We can fix this." Lily felt a wave of emotions crash over her: anger, sadness, confusion. She had rehearsed this moment in her mind countless times, imagining the words she would say if he ever dared to ask for her forgiveness. But now, faced with his pleas, all she felt was a profound sense of clarity. "You didn't just hurt me, Mark," she said quietly, her voice steady. "You shattered the trust we built, the life we shared. That's not something you can patch up with flowers and apologies." Mark's shoulders sagged as he dropped onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. "I don't know how to make it right," he whispered. "I miss you. I miss us." Lily took a deep breath, her gaze falling on the canvas by the wall. It was a painting of a sunrise she had started in class, a symbol of new beginnings. She thought of Ethan, the quiet strength of his encouragement, and the way he made her feel seen in a way Mark never had. She thought of Claire, whose unwavering support had reminded her of her worth. "There is no us anymore," she said, her tone resolute. "You made a choice, Mark, and I made mine. I'm not the woman who's going to piece you back together. I've spent too much time forgetting who I am. Now, I'm learning to love myself again, and I won't give that up." Mark looked up at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of disbelief and sorrow. "Is there someone else?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "That's not the point," Lily replied firmly. "The point is that I've found something better than what we had. I've found myself." She stood, signaling that their conversation was over. Mark hesitated before rising, his expression a blend of regret and acceptance. As he walked to the door, he turned to her one last time. "I'm sorry, Lily. I really am." "I hope you are," she said softly. "For your sake." When the door closed behind him, Lily felt an unexpected sense of liberation. She had faced the ghost of her past and chosen her future. She walked over to her painting, picking up her brush and adding a vibrant streak of gold to the sunrise. It was a small act, but it symbolized everything: her strength, her growth, and the life she was finally ready to embrace. The crisp autumn breeze carried the scent of fallen leaves as Lily stood by the lakeside, her easel set up in the soft golden light of late afternoon. The water shimmered like liquid gold under the setting sun, and the rustling trees provided a gentle soundtrack to the peaceful moment. It was her favorite spot now, a place where she could paint and reflect, feeling closer to herself than ever before. Ethan arrived, carrying 2 steaming cups of coffee and wearing his usual warm smile. "Thought you might need a little caffeine boost," he said, handing her a cup. "Perfect timing," Lily replied, her eyes meeting his. She couldn't help but smile back. They had fallen into an easy rhythm over the past few weeks. Ethan wasn't just a friend, he was a quiet presence that felt safe and steady, someone who understood the unspoken pieces of her story. He never pushed, never pried, but his support had become a cornerstone of her newfound happiness. As they sat together on the blanket he had spread out near the lake, Ethan seemed unusually pensive. Lily glanced at him, noticing the way his fingers fidgeted with the coffee cup. "Everything okay?" she asked, her voice soft. He hesitated for a moment before nodding. "I've just been thinking. About you, about us, about how much you've come to mean to me." Her heart skipped a beat, but she stayed silent, letting him continue. "I know you've been through so much," he said, his tone earnest. "And I don't want to rush anything or make you feel like you owe me anything. But, Lily, you've brought something into my life that I didn't think I'd find again. You remind me what it means to hope, to believe in love. And I just need you to know that I care about you. Deeply." Lily looked at him, her heart swelling with emotions she hadn't dared to explore fully until now. She thought about everything: Mark's betrayal, her journey of healing, and the unexpected way Ethan had become part of her life. His kindness and patience had helped her rediscover herself. "Ethan," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "I didn't think I could trust someone again, let alone feel this way. But you've shown me what love is supposed to be: gentle, honest, and safe. I care about you too. More than I can put into words." His face broke into a smile, one that lit up the fading day. He reached for her hand, his touch warm and steady. For a moment, they sat in silence, the world around them quiet except for the soft ripples of the lake and the whispering trees. Finally, Ethan stood and extended a hand toward her. "Dance with me?" he asked, his tone playful yet sincere. Lily laughed, shaking her head. "There's no music." "We'll make our own," he said, pulling her to her feet. And so, under the glow of the setting sun, they swayed together, their laughter mingling with the rustle of leaves. For the first time in a long time, Lily felt whole, not because someone else completed her, but because she had found the strength to rebuild herself. As they stood by the lake, their hearts full of hope, Lily realized that she hadn't just found love again. She had found the kind of love that starts within, the kind that grows when you learn to value yourself. Ethan was the partner she had never dared to dream of, but more importantly, she had become the woman she was always meant to be. And in that moment, surrounded by the beauty of a new beginning, Lily knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. Thank you for watching Storytelling and Beyond. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories. Let's continue exploring the beauty of human connection, one tale at a time.